Hiya. Can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Jim. My name is Jim Smith.
And when were you born, Jim?
January 31.
And where were you born?
Kingscourt, County Cavan, Era.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Well, Mary Fahy. I was born in Donegal,
And what year were you born?
1927.
Right. What's your name, please?
Jane O'Gorman.
And where were you born, Jane?
I was born in Limerick in 8th of May 1917.
Right. Well, I was born in Limerick in 1933, in August, in the summer. My mother came from Charleville,
County Cork.
County Cork. She was in service, and my father met her while she was in service in Limerick. Hence to follow on, the courting and to get married. I'm the eldest of 13 children that my mother had. And was 5 died, either after birth or during birth. I was brought up in Limerick City. In my early years, my memories bring me back to how poor and how bad the times really were.
It's Anthony Michael O'Gorman. I was born in Limerick, Southern Ireland.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about your life in Southern Ireland?
Well, I've only lived there for 7 years, and my earliest recollection obviously is going to be from about 4-year-old or something like that. Where we lived in a nice little Irish tight-knit community. Griffith Avenue it was called, and we lived in a corner. We used to have a chicken run, because we had a very large back garden with a chicken run in it, a vegetable plot, and then behind that it was all open fields.
I was born in Francis Street in Limerick, and I was brought up in Francis Street, and then we moved out of there and went to the Castle Barracks, which were there whilst there was some houses getting built. And that was St Mary's Park in Limerick. So I was there and I had to go to work every day for 2 and 6pence a day, cleaning and washing to keep the house going with my mother. Okay. Because my father died and I had to help to keep the house going. I was a good child, but I enjoyed my life. Mm-hmm. I used to go to dances when I was young and pictures. And
How many brothers did you have, and a sister?
I had 2 brothers and a sister. And we all grew up happy in our own way, although we were poor.
What was your father and mother's name, Jim?
My mother's maiden name was McCabe, born in Roscommon.
And what was her name?
Ellen.
And what was your father's name?
He was called Oney Smith.
Have you any brothers and sisters, and what are they called, please?
Living now at this moment is May. She's my eldest sister. Kathleen, second eldest sister. Michael, Eugene, my brother, Michael. And then Veronica is the youngest of the family.
Can you tell us a little about what life was like in Ireland when you were younger?
It was simple. Born on a small farm, got well fed, well looked after, played a bit of football as a kid. That was it.
There were, I would say, 80% of the population not working. Those who were working gave opportunities to those they knew rather than what you could do. So ability didn't come into it. It's who you know. That was all about in Limerick in those days. But having said that, my mother was a wonderful lady. Worked 3 jobs a day, cleaning. Take a shilling up here, 2 shillings up there. My father wasn't a well man, and he very rarely worked. When he did work, it was a casual job, we say down the docks, something like that. The school days were tough, very hard, and quite bruising, to be honest. I believe we were abused physically and horrendously. No ifs, no withdrawing, no being nice about it. It's a fact. The Christian Brothers were the cruelest people I've ever met. It's not easy to say this because I can get emotional about it. I'll try not to, but it's sad the way they ruled the country, the cities, the towns, if you wish. They were the hierarchy. To give you an example of the type of people they were, I was at home one evening, never forget it, certain things stick in your mind. And the priest came to the door, and I think there was 5 children then, or 6. And he walked in, good evening, how are you, and so forth. I've come for the envelope. And the envelope in those days, you give a penny or 2pence for every member of the family. And I was sat there, and even the older people, as I grew older, used to remind me of the type of person I was. I was very outspoken, very outgoing, always spoke my mind, and got the odd hiding for it, as a young boy coming along. And the priest asked for the envelope and to get back. And I just simply said, "Ma'am, we could get 2 or 3 loaves of bread for that." And my father just swung his arm and gave me a slap. He says, "Don't talk to a priest like that." Now the real point I'm making is the priest, which said the following immediately after me being struck in the face. That's the way to treat them. It's the only language they understand. That's the type of mentality our Christian brothers and priests were. Now, it's sad, but it's the truth. And I don't mind it going on there. I don't give 2 hoots. It's facts. I've fell out with people over the years over it. I've got in boxing matches over it. Being honest and speaking out.
As I grew up, I started working when I was 13. And the only jobs you could get was cleaning, and that was for 2 and 6pence a day. And I used to walk miles. There was no buses, no taxis. I had to walk miles to my job and miles back. My father was a painter. He worked in Ranks Mill. He was a painter. And my mother, she had just a cleaning job, but she used to work. So...
What about your brother, Mum, and sisters?
Oh.
Joe?
Joe?
Your brothers and sisters.
My brother Joe, he joined the Irish Army. And my other brother, he was in the army. Both of them are gone now. And
Patrick?
we managed, we were always happy.
What were your brothers called?
Joseph and Patrick.
And Auntie May.
And May was my sister. She was the eldest. May. She was a character.
It was our Bill was the eldest, God rest his soul. He was born in 1949. Then there was me, obviously, born in 1952. And then there was Martin, born in 1956. Then our Chris, he was born in 1958, I think it was. And then I got my sister, who was born in this country. And she was born in, let's see now, I'm going to have to think about it. I've got my maths right here. 1966. She was born here. She was born in the house in Brakeley. She was actually born in the house, not in hospital. Because I remember that very, very vividly when they come up and said, "You've got a sister." She was the first girl born into our family. It was like a joyous occasion.
Socially, I would say the only way of socialising was going out playing on the street, for the children, that is. We had the freedom to do that. We had the trust of our parents to do that. Under orders, obviously, when what time to be home and all this type of stuff. The parents, the men, liked to go for a pint, obviously. The women was always at home. Always. Right? You might have the odd snug where the odd woman would go and have a drink in a quiet part within the pub, but very few did that. Majority of the women in Limerick in my time as a child, all they were doing is looking after their families, scraping a living. Example, my mother used to go down the docks with a box cart that my father made and collect wood from the wood store down the docks. Wheel it up the dock hill on our own, wheel it all the way home, and we'd all sit down and start making sticks for fires, chopping it up, cutting it out, using twine, and then spending 2 hours in the evening taking splinters out of our fingers.
And I got married when I was 21. And Mary was born, wasn't she, 2 years after. And then Martin. And that's when he had to go away. There was no work in Ireland that time. He had to come over here. And
Where did you go when you went out with him, Mum? Where did you go out for socialising? What did you do?
we used to go dances and pictures.
Now I remember, Mum, when you used to go pictures
Yeah.
with my dad,
Yeah,
and you were working that hard, weren't you,
I
during the day?
was, yeah.
And what happened when you went to pictures?
Fell asleep in the pictures.
And you were very close to your dad, weren't you?
Oh, I was. When he died, I was really ill for 6 months after he died.
You took it real badly, didn't
I
you?
took it that bad after him.
Yeah.
And then, like, things weren't the same without his wage. You know, so I started going out to work. And as I said, I had to walk miles straight and back, but for a half a crown. And then at night I'd go to the pictures and I'd fall asleep in the pictures. I was that tired. Washing without a washing machine, washing boards. That's the work I done. Cleaning and scrubbing and so.
How old were you then?
I was only 16 then when I done that. And one lady said to me, you shouldn't be doing this work, you're too young. She said, you'll be crippled with arthritis when you get older. She was telling me that.
Because around you was being water all the time,
All
weren't
the water all the time.
you? Full water and that, wasn't it?
So, and anyway, I carried on the best I could to keep the house going.
Moving on from there, with my father not working, someone had to bring something in. And my mother, wonderful woman, finest woman you ever met. Her priority was feeding her children and her husband. She did 3 jobs a day and was still at home to try and cook a bit of dinner for us. She could make a dinner out of a backbone of a pig without meat on it. Put it in a pot, put a bit of potatoes, cabbage, turnips, you mentioned, all into one pot. And that's the type of living we had to live. There was no luxuries like lumps of creamery butter every day. No luxuries like eggs for breakfast every day. My mother did the best she could for us with the little bit she earned. When she wasn't earning, there was a place called the dispensary in Limerick. And within that dispensary, you had the hierarchy decided whether you needed any money or not. And here's an example of what my mother went through. She worked very hard, and when she wasn't working, she'd go to the dispensary and get 6 shilling for a family of about 6 of us at that time. And one day, my mother, to give an example of the type of person she was, went to the dispensary, came back home, discovered my father had got a day's work at the docks. Because she was out cleaning in the morning and he got up and went down and see was it a day's work down there and got it. She turned on her heel, walked back to the dispensary and said, "There's your 6 shilling back, my husband is working today." Now when we buried my mother, very sad day, the priest said he had spoken to someone within the town and asked a little bit about my mother. And he says, "I'll tell you a story." And he told her that story about the 6 shilling. He told the whole lot. And his last words was, "How many of you in this church today," this was 1994, "would have done that?" That's the type of person we're talking about.
Basically, Harry, I was just going to ask about Limerick as a city at that time, which going back to the 30s here, what kind of industries there were, what kind of opportunities there were for people to either get a job or to just tell us about a little bit about that system.
Well, the opportunities were there for the limited amount of work that was available. But unfortunately, the majority of the opportunities was passed from father to son, or who I know and who I don't know. Your ability didn't appear to come into it. So if my father, for example, had a job in the railway, right, the next one down the line, another vacancy came, it would be his son, or his brother's son, and so forth. Yeah, to get any type of work at all, you had to try and